Hey, welcome to another video from SkinnyMedic. In this video, I want to kind of give some tips and tricks, maybe some advice, some of the new EMTs, new paramedics out there. Been thinking about this video for a little bit and just want to give you some advice that I would love to tell myself all the way back in 2002. So yes, I got into EMS in 2002. I was pretty much straight out of high school. I had started as a volunteer. I got my first responder certification in high school and then went out and got my EMT. I was EMT for about 3 or 4 months. Got my intermediate, which is EMTI. It no longer exists, but basically I was able to intubate and start IVs. And then I went to paramedic school and graduated in paramedic school in 2006 and have been in EMS ever since. Now I am a training officer and I do education and training for my local EMS service. So kind of go back and what I could tell myself now, here's a few things that I wish I knew back then. One of the things I think about is that it's not all about lights and sirens, blood and guts, all this bad stuff. No, it's not. Not every single 911 that calls in for an ambulance needs an ambulance. Not everything's an emergency, which is okay. Thank gosh. If every single call that came in through 911 was, oh my gosh, they're dying, you got to make critical decisions, boom, 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 we'd be exhausted in just a few hours. Most calls that come in just need their hand held, just need some simple patient care. Maybe just need a ride, but that's okay. That's what we're there for. We're here for customer service, which leads me into my next thing, is we are there for service. We are there to service the community, service the person that's calling 911, and we need to remember that. It may not be an emergency in our eyes. We're like, oh my gosh, why did you call? But for the most part, this is an emergency in their eyes. When someone calls 911, typically, for most part, this is the worst day of their life. Their husband's having a heart attack, their wife can't breathe, they've just wrecked a car that they just made the last payment on last month. It's the worst day. And us as the EMTs and paramedics are responding are going to make a difference in how their future precedes EMS. Do they hate EMS because we were jerks, we were smart aleck, or were we kind and nice to them? Another thing that's helped me in my career, I feel like, is build relationships. You never know what your future holds in EMS. Whether just staying for the same service or you become a supervisor, you become a director, you do things at the state level or the federal level, start working on relationships and building those relationships early because your future may depend on a phone call going, hey sir, I need some help, or hey, I'm looking for some advice. So start building those relationships early. One of the things that my training officer told me several years ago was that our patients are sicker than we think they are. And that was huge. We don't really think about it. We see these patients, we treat them, we give them a breathing treatment, maybe we give them Medrol, something like that, and then poof, they're gone. And then we find out they're admitted to ICU. Their lab values were crazy. They end up getting intubated, put on a ventilator, and we're like, oh my gosh, didn't see that one coming. But yes, our patients are sicker than we think they are. We often, as EMS, only see 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes of patient care when we don't see the days and weeks afterwards that we drop the patient off. So I still tell my EMTs and paramedics that I teach that your patients are sicker than you think they are, and I believe this is 100% true. Being professional and kind are huge. Go ask your parents or your grandparents what they thought about their family doctor. They're either going to tell you they loved them or they hated them. It's all based on their bedside manner. Did the doctor take time to listen to them? Or was it just like, oh yeah, you have a sore throat, blah, blah, here's a wrist, out the door, boop, you're done. Or did they take time to listen to them? What's going on in their life? What's going on with the kids, grandkids? The good bedside manner, just take time to listen. At EMS, we do an awful lot of talking and not a lot of listening. Sitting on the bench, patient strapped on the stretcher, hold their hand and listen to them. Huge. Another piece of advice I would give you is don't work too much. Typically, we're working 12-hour shifts, so those are super busy, 24/48s, 48/96s, whatever the schedule is. If you want to work another side job, perfect. But don't let it be EMS. Like, don't work at this department here full-time and then go work at this other department over here part-time. You will get burned out. You get jaded, you get tired, you start making patient care mistakes, things happen. So if you want to get another job, perfect. Go do it. Something completely different than EMS. I started a YouTube channel way back, I think it was 2010, something like that, maybe. And it was stupid cat videos and a couple of gun guys and me trying to make first aid videos. Nobody was on YouTube, but I did it for my mental health. I needed some way to escape and to vent and so I could keep being a paramedic. I almost walked away from EMS in 2000, God, what was it, 15 maybe? Yeah, had a really bad call that almost walked away. But if it wasn't for a few friends that I built relationships with, had connections with, that helped me through that for my mental health, I would have walked away. I think about pre-COVID, there was a lot of push for degrees. Associate's degree, bachelor's degrees in EMS, big, huge push. And now, afterwards, we have a huge shortage for EMTs and paramedics. So now, we're looking for people who just get a certification, which could take a few months, year and a half to get your paramedic roughly. So we need certifications. But all the education in the world doesn't equal experience. You can read every textbook, listen to every podcast, watch every single YouTube video, but until you get that super sick patient that is in front of you, actively dying, they're in peri-arrest state, and you have to make good decisions, quick decisions to save that person's life, those aren't equal. You can read, listen all you want to, but until you put the thoughts here to the hands and do that multiple times over and over again, that's when you become a good EMT. That's when you become a good paramedic. People live or die based on the EMT and the paramedic who walk through the door. And that is scary to me. That if I have a loved one or whoever is dying and paramedic A walks through the door, they're going to live because that paramedic is going to make quick, right decisions to save my patient's life, or have paramedic B who walks through the door, who's slow, doesn't make quick decisions, is confused, doesn't know what's going on, and the patient dies. That's sad. But it happens every single day. We have to make sure that we are the best that we can be. Another piece of advice that I would give you is be open to criticism. In my role now, I read a lot of reports, and I Monday morning quarterback a lot of PCRs, looking back at EMTs and paramedics who've rode calls and like, hey, you probably should have done this, you probably should have done that. And people get mad. Typically, EMTs, paramedics are type A personalities, and they don't like being told they were wrong. But be open to criticism. Be open to someone going, hey, that call could have went better. You could have probably done this, do this, think about that. I still take criticism. I'm like, oh, I messed that one up. I probably should have done that. Probably shouldn't have said that. But be open to criticism and make it a learning opportunity. Never stop learning, because the next patient may need your experience that you learned on that last call that makes a difference in their life. Another pet peeve I have is introduce yourself. We are the world's worst of walking in some stranger's house going, oh, you're having chest pain? Cool, pick your shirt up. I gotta put some stickers on. Okay, which hospital you wanna go to? Let's go. That's the way it goes. Instead of, hey, my name's Dietrich, I'm a paramedic. I'm sorry that you're having chest pain, but I'm here to take care of you, and I'm gonna take great care of you today. I gotta put some stickers on you. I'll keep your privacy as best I can, but I gotta put some stickers on. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm gonna give you some medicine called aspirin. This is what it does. I'm gonna give you some medicine called nitro. This is what it does. I do have to start a little IV on you. I'll do the best I can to not make it hurt. When I lift you up on the stretcher, it's gonna sound like you're floating. Hopefully, maybe you have the button now that you push, which is really cool. You push the button and you're gonna feel like you're floating, but it's not gonna drop you, I promise. We're gonna slide you in. This thing rides like horse and buggy. Even though it costs $500,000, it still rides rough. I'm gonna give you a nice easy ride to the hospital. And we explain the whole trip. We don't do that in EMS. So, introduce yourself and explain what's going on. The last piece of advice I'm gonna give you is not all patients breathe 16 times a minute. It's one of my pet peeves. It's one of my med control's pet peeves. When we make up a respiratory rate of 16 on every single patient, not everybody breathes 16 times a minute. That septic patient, probably breathing faster 16 times a minute, probably faster 20, 22, 24 times a minute. The trauma patient, maybe breathing 8 times a minute, not 16. So don't make up your respiratory, don't make up your vital signs. Never lie about your patient care. If you didn't do it, don't make it up, because it will come around and bite you. So some of the dinosaurs of EMS that watch my YouTube channel, what are some suggestions that you would give to a younger EMT, younger paramedics just getting started in this field? I absolutely love EMS. I am passionate about pre-hospital medicine. I want to see EMS continue to grow, do some really cool things. We're looking at ultrasounds at my system. I was like, holy crap, that's super cool that we can do that kind of stuff. So I want to see EMS grow. I want to see people stay in it long term and not just use it as a stepping stone to nursing or whatever. Stay in EMS, continue to grow. Get your critical care, go fly, go do SWAT, do whatever you want to. This is a great career. Stay in it. Try to stay healthy, physically and mentally, and stay in the career. So hope this video helps. And like I said, some of you dinosaurs of EMS, you know who you are. Comment down below of some suggestions you would give to a younger you. Thank you guys for watching. You never know when you'll be the first responder. Remember the right gear and the right training.